Hey, everybody. This is the Sibling Trap podcast. I'm Barry, my co host, Katrina. How are you doing today?
I'm here. How are you doing today?
I'm definitely here.
You're
I
happy.
guess, yeah, rolling it back to this morning. This is my first official day as a social media specialist for Primary Arms. And I'll tell you, it's probably been the best day I've had in such a long time.
Yeah, you're
Uh,
glowing.
Glowing. I'm super excited. I'm actually excited to wake up and go to work tomorrow. It doesn't seem like work when you're doing everything that you love all day long. So
Yeah.
just an update. Yeah, like the marketing team welcomed me with open arms today. I've done a little bit of work for them over the last, couple of months or so, waiting for them to fill the position inevitably with me, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's been a great time actually getting to know everybody on more of a personal and professional level. It's just incredible that I'm even
It's
here. So
happening. Yeah. It's a big deal.
yeah,
Congratulations.
but yeah.
Hmm.
So Katie's got the topic for today.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Uh,
Eclipse Day, just
yeah,
so
happy
everybody
Eclipse
knows.
Day.
Yeah, we are new and rejuvenated with new energy, right? I would say
Mm-hmm.
that's what the eclipse symbolizes. I mean, there's a lot that goes into things like that, and
Yeah.
I don't know. We could blame it on the planets for once. So
And Mercury's in retrograde. So like all the tech issues that we had even starting this call, I'm like, not today, Satan.
yeah,
Not
not
today.
today. We muscled
Yeah,
through the difficulty, but
we got through it. We don't give up. No, we're stubborn.
it's the
Full
elk inside
disclosure,
of us.
it's so true. I mean, it gets us far, but also hinders us sometimes. I am at home today and my kids are home and things are gonna happen. You'll probably hear some snake videos in the background if they walk by. It's all good. But I wanted to touch on something today that I've noticed a few of my friends talk about in the last couple of days that I don't feel like we've touched on the podcast yet, and it's rage. Like with the planets and all the eclipse stuff, like a lot of women, especially maybe men too, y'all can tell me, are feeling a lot of rageful feelings. And I wanted to talk about like how to be aware of that, how to navigate that as a mom, as a parent, as a friend, and really be healthy and proud of yourself, and then hear from you and your experiences. Like, how often would you say you feel feelings of rage? Is it often or not anymore?
Well, honestly, lately I haven't really felt a lot of that rage just because I do still spend, like an hour a week meditating and I get a lot of that mental negativity out during that
Hmm.
time. I'm still running. I've kind of cut back a little bit because I've kind of plateaued in my time, but I'm running like 3 days a week instead of 5 to 6 days.
Hmm.
And I feel like that having those things, those activities definitely helps me control that rage side that I've definitely experienced a lot in my life as a young male, former Marine and everything with all that mentality going on. So it's not something that I'm new to. I've definitely
Hmm.
experienced it a lot, but learning how to control my emotions, I feel Katie has been the paramount activity, the thing that gets me through those moments the most, honestly.
I'm kind of curious. Like, I wonder if moms in general are more rageful, not only because of hormones, right? But also a lot of
Right.
times, like, we don't really get a break to do the things that men or fathers get to do, right? It's like go to the gym or, go hang out with their buddies or go for a ride. Like I feel like a lot of times we just don't get to stop and it just builds up.
Right. I think that's a big um like issue with the relationship
Yeah.
because like as a mother, it doesn't matter. I feel like mothers should still get their free time, like girls' night or whatever, and I think it should be as frequent as men. I think that's a little unfair to say, uh, like men should definitely not be having fun and the woman staying at home with the kids all the time. I feel like that's just unfair. Everybody needs
Mhm.
their space, needs their time to decompress and all that. So
Yeah. It's
I
good to
get
hear you
it.
say that.
No, seriously, it's definitely been a thing for a long time that, the guys get to go out drinking with their buddies after work or whatever and negate the fact of like, hey, like I get it, like you've been at work all day, but I've been stuck here with the kids all day. Why
Hmm.
can't, I go out one night or two nights or just as many nights as you? Honestly, it'd be just as fair.
Yeah. And
So,
I
and
definitely
I've
go
definitely
on.
been the stay-at-home dad, like back when little Barry was first born. I spent a lot of time during the night and the days with him.
Hmm.
That was back when I was in the holster company, and I kind of worked my schedule around when I was home with him and his mom. I know when she had her work schedule. So I definitely understand that feeling of being stuck at home all day with the kiddo and wanting to just get out to do one thing, like go grocery shopping or something like
Yeah.
that. It's easy to get cooped up, I feel, as a parent in general.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think that a lot of times it gets really hard to vocalize what we need. I don't know if it's like an everyone thing or a recovering people pleaser thing, but it's like we don't want to be like a burden to our partner. And it's like, we need to just speak up, like, hey, I need to go for a walk, or I need, just 30 minutes alone. And a lot of times what I'm hearing from the women in my life is it comes from a fear of rejection because they're just so used to their partner being like, no,
No,
I can't do
yeah,
that. I can't handle that. I
it's
can't take that on. And it's like, dude, come on. And then
and
women
I
don't
think
ask for help anymore.
right, right. And I think it's about depth of love, like for the relationship, as a male, like I would, and even though I am a recovering people pleaser as well, I would still feel the need to make sure that my partner may not want some time to themselves. You have to identify that though, because some partners may be oblivious to that kind of
Mhm.
depth, or maybe they just don't pay attention and think, oh well, she hasn't said she needs a break, so maybe she's just fine. But you
Yeah.
have to basically have to be a good partner and recognize those things about your partner, I think. And that's all about learning. So
Yeah, it's really interesting. I actually had this conversation with my partner this past weekend talking about how like a lot of times, at least from my experience, I was just like feeling all sorts of feelings and wishing that my partner could see that something was off and then offer to help. But I'm like, no, like I feel safe enough now in this relationship to be like, hey, you know what? I do need this. But also, I don't have to do that because he's very aware and very in tune with me. And he's like, you're kind of all over the place. You're kind of stressed right now. Like, maybe you should turn off your computer and just like be and not work anymore right now. And I'm like, what? Like, it's such a different feeling that
right,
I feel safe to
it's
even ask if I
genuine.
felt like it. Yeah. Hmm.
Right, that's incredible. I'm so happy for you.
I am too. Every day I'm like, wait, is this real? Like someone pinch me. It's amazing. It's very
Definitely.
healing too, to be like be triggered by so much or to feel disappointed in a partner for so long that you just forget that like, wow, people exist out in the world that actually can read you and can, be considerate and thoughtful for your feelings and your experience in life, that they're willing to be like, hey, I'm here to help you.
Right. And having a good partner, I think, also helps with those rageful moments. Definitely.
Mm,
Because if you have somebody that can kind of calm you down or at
yeah,
least understands, dude, it's next level stuff for sure.
yeah. And it's not even like a codependent thing. It's more of like a co-regulation thing. It's like I can come to you and like with one hug, just be like, I can exhale. I'm like, okay, thank you. It's calmed me down. I've never had that before.
Right.
Mm-mm.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like a soul tie thing. So many examples of that. But
Wow.
so one thing that, as moms, when we do feel really rageful and we can't escape the children, a lot of times we start projecting onto them, and it's like you start snapping at them for little things, and it's like, but is it really a big deal? And in those moments, it's like you have to own it. You have to hold yourself accountable. Like, I'm sorry I talked to you that way, or I'm sorry that I said that. Like, I shouldn't have yelled, and I shouldn't have, used my anger in a way that wasn't healthy. But that can be really hard. Even though it's hard, though, it's setting a good example for the kids to like take responsibility and also how to apologize, because not a lot of people can even apologize. They just refuse to do it, which I think is absolutely ridiculous.
Right. And that's the thing too, is not only teaching them how to apologize, but you know, teaching them that it's best to apologize because there's a lot of respect in that. As an
Hmm.
adult, I mean, everybody's going to make mistakes, and they have to learn that early on. Is that's kind of how we learn, is through mistakes. I mean, we were talking before the episode, and I mean, without mistakes, why? I mean, how could you grow?
Yeah.
There wouldn't be any growth. And as kids, I mean, that's all they're doing is growing. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, all of it. I mean, and you don't want to stunt that growth by basically creating a bad example of
Hmm.
what they should follow. Setting that example and being honest with them, and telling them, hey, I made a mistake and this is what I'm going to do to resolve it. And going forward, I'm going to try not to do it or whatever. I think that really is like leaps and bounds for their growth to see that being done in the right way, for sure.
And I don't feel like it's ever too late to apologize, right? So it's like you could do something
Right.
that's a little bit like, borderline mean or projecting, or, not how you want to be as a mom or a parent, but then like it'll eat
Emotional.
at
Yeah.
you. Yeah, it'll eat, you're reacting instead of responding, right? So it'll eat at you throughout the day. And then like the next day you could even just circle back, because like they might not remember, but you do, right? Like they might
Right.
have completely forgotten about it, but like it just shows so much maturity and respect to like circle back and like, hey, yesterday I did this and that really wasn't cool. And I wish I would have done this instead. Um,
Well, that's
that
the
takes,
difference, between creating childhood trauma in your kids. I mean,
yeah,
whether it be intentional or not, I mean, it's a
it's gonna
potential
happen.
for, yeah, for that trauma. And I mean, the easier you react to it, yeah, they may not remember that you scolded them because they were standing on top of the table or whatever,
Hmm.
but they may remember, hey, like that was really mean. I mean, I was just on the table. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But like I guess you kind of have to help them understand why you reacted the way that you did, whether it was out of impulse or you're in a bad mood, you're cranky, you're hangry, whatever the case, and
Hmm.
be completely honest with them. So that way, I mean, maybe one day, they'll identify in themselves, hey, I did this because of the same reason my mom did that one time or something like
Yeah.
that. So being that example and setting it the right way is
Hmm.
the most we can do for our kids, honestly.
Yeah. And I think that it's also a form of like real-time scripting. Um, you know,
Oh,
kind of like I
interesting.
don't do this often, but like there are times that I have in the past rewritten how a situation went, how I wish it would have gone instead, from the moment when it like went south or whatever. But
Right.
it could be like a real time like mind exercise with your kids. Like, hey, like I know that this was wrong. Like, how could we do this differently next time? Or like, how could I, make a better decision? And even if it's something that they did too, it's like, hey, like I noticed that you were kicking your brother, right? Like, what can we do instead when we want that toy? Like, how can we try that again next time? So
Right.
it's like a teachable moment for everyone.
That's incredible. So taking scripting more into like a practical exercise where talk through that event with your child and or whoever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it could be a friend, it could be a partner, coworker, anything. I mean, that's
Yeah.
genius, Katie, honestly.
Well, thanks. It just helps you plan for the future. I don't know if it's like my trauma speaking. It's like I'm
Yeah.
always like envisioning how things could go badly, but then also like having another route.
I mean, it's funny that you say that because I have I've been noticing that I've been daydream scripting.
Really?
Really, I'll be, instead of scrolling through my phone on social media, I'll be sitting there kind of essentially in like a meditative state, but like staring off into the distance, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll envision myself going through this specific event or this whatever, you know, interview or something like that. Like I mentally scripted it, like
Yeah.
kind of like daydreamed through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I expected an outcome and saw myself like visually in my mind doing whatever it was and becoming that. So it was incredible.
Wow. Has anything come true from that, or is it just kind of like a down the line type of thing?
Well, honestly, some of it's come true. I mean, getting the job that I've gotten and how
Mm-hmm.
I did that. I know that I scripted about it a lot.
Yeah.
Um, I even we had this thing where it was like it's kind of like a checklist for like this smart thing at work, and each letter is obviously an acronym. I forgot what it is. I'd have to grab my notebook,
Mm-hmm.
but basically, it's like taking a dream or something that you plan to do and formulating it into like a plan of action and how you're going to accomplish that dream or goal or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it came true. So I'm super excited about it. But anyway, back to the rageful moments.
Yeah.
Do you really honestly think that the eclipse has a lot to do with like emotion and mood setting and all that? I mean, I it's hard to deny that the moon doesn't control us because we're, you know, made of water basically, and the
Mm-hmm.
moon literally controls the tide. So it's
Yeah.
hard to deny things like that. I don't mean to steer the conversation into the
No, that's okay.
spiritual realm too much, but I definitely believe that rageful moments definitely can make or break us,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to emotions and
Yeah.
damage and things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
No, 100% though. Like I definitely feel like the planets, what is in orbit right now or whatever, like can motivate or inspire how we live our lives. Example, like when Mercury's in retrograde. I'm not an expert, you guys. I'm just like picking up things. I would love to have an expert on though. So if there's any astrologers, you just hit us up. But like when Mercury's in retrograde, it's heightened miscommunication. So it's like you need to be really mindful of what you're saying and how you're saying it and who you're saying it to, because like being aware that like it could be misconstrued even if you say the right thing. It could just be like out of your control. Um, so it's like
right.
navigating your conversations in a way that avoids toxicity. Like just text me. I don't want to talk to you in
Yeah,
person.
right.
Uh-huh.
That's
Yeah.
wild. Um, Thinking about that and then also thinking about having to answer hundreds of messages from, you know, followers on social media and trying to be a new voice for the company.
Yeah.
Um,
No pressure.
it's wild to think, yeah, no pressure. um, but yeah, I mean, communication is really key, especially, you know, fighting through rageful moments. I feel like a lot of times those rageful moments happen because of a miscommunication
Or an assumption. Yeah, totally.
or yeah, or an expectation that wasn't met or
Hmm.
something of that nature. And I feel like the more we communicate and the better we communicate, the less likely that a situation like that will get blown out of proportion a lot of
Yeah.
times. And I feel like a lot of times too, though, on the flip side of that coin, less communication sometimes is better.
Oh,
I mean, there's been instances where I've been in a rageful moment and I've said things that I wish I had never said that I know that I can't take back. And being the healed version of me now, looking back, I just wish that I had shut my mouth, honestly. So
wow.
I
I
guess
feel like
that's
this
growth
is,
for you.
yeah, this is growth from a previous conversation we had about, our how we typically argue or communicate in relationships. Um,
Right.
wow. I'm proud of
But,
you.
but yeah, so I mean, we were talking about how I may not be very rageful uh
Hmm.
currently in my life because I have a lot of great things going for me and I have a lot to be thankful for. And
You
I
have
think that's
habits
the main,
too.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's habits that I've given up that were
Hmm.
also like issues or things that had stemmed from rageful moments and not being able to control those rageful emotions. So I think the biggest deal is looking back at times when I was rageful and knowing what I know now, how much I wish that I could change how I reacted to certain situations, Katie, or just being more calm, I think. And I
Yeah.
think that's really what it is having that calamity is exponentially different. It
Yeah.
really does make it. So
I love that for you. So there's something that I do with my partner that I think could actually be really helpful in all relationships in life. And whether it's like weekly or bi-weekly or monthly, just like, hey, like, how did I support you well this month or this week? Like, how can I do better? Even with my kids, like that's something that I just thought of doing. Like, hey, like, how was I a really good mom this week? And like, what can I do
wow.
better this next week?
Yeah.
Because that's how we can, avoid the rage, avoid it from like the resentment building, the frustration or the grief of things changing, like just being present and intentional with our time together.
That's incredible. It's like getting feedback from customers, right?
Yeah.
It's only going to improve how you do your job better. I mean, I
Hmm.
don't understand why we don't apply that to our friendships and our, emotional relationships and things with our kids, especially because honestly, I mean, that's another great example to set for them because giving people the feedback and how they treat you, I mean, it's not an easy thing to say or ask or do,
Yeah.
honestly, because I know a lot of people fear, how they treat people. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of narcissists out there that could agree with me that if they were to ask some people, hey, how have I been treating you? And they know the answer to that, I mean, I'm sure they wouldn't even ask because why would you?
Yeah.
So knowing that you can, talk to your kids like that, I mean, it really sets
I
the
think
bar.
it also like because I'm not a fan of confrontation, and I know a lot of people in my life aren't either. And it's like
Right.
we're if it's making us uncomfortable, like sometimes we have to lean in and make it happen more often, so that way the fear around it really dissolves. So it's like, yeah, I might have like nervous sweats and put more deodorant on, but like I'll be better because of it, and I won't be
Right.
as dreadful of like, oh my God, like are they mad at me or like assuming,
Right. The
like you're the
anxiety.
problem. Yeah.
Right. And that's something too, is, identifying things that make you uncomfortable, but also doing it because how are you going to get more comfortable with it by doing it? So,
Well, how are you going to evolve? Like, I
right.
want to get better.
Right. Do the things that you're not good at. That's how you get better.
Yeah.
Why do you think I run all the time?
What were some of the things that you stopped doing that were contributing to rage?
Oh, well, letting my emotions get the best of me. I know that we keep talking about that, but
Hmm.
I think that's like the key element is knowing that yes, I might be upset by this outcome or whatever the situation, knowing that there probably isn't anything that I can do to change the situation,
Yeah.
and then going about my day. That's it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
And
I
like
mean,
knowing,
outside of that is just not letting other people's opinions or judgments affect me. Like we were saying,
yeah,
things are definitely below my pay grade, and I need to start understanding that. So,
yeah. Everyone has an opinion of you. And, if they already have a preconceived opinion of you, there's nothing you can do to change that. They're just already
right,
determined to be like, nope, this person is X, Y, and Z, and that's how it is. I won't even entertain another reality.
exactly, and that's really it because the reality is the one that you're in. You
Hmm.
know, not everybody's going to see things through my eyes the way that I see them. So, and I've reflected on that a lot and understanding that, like you said, people are going to have these preconceived notions about you, whether they heard them from somebody else or they had a bad experience or whatever. People. I forgot that saying that I've seen going around like Facebook, but it's like um, people's opinions of me don't matter or whatever,
None of
right?
your business. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Mhm.
none of our business. That's right.
Yeah.
That's great.
Um, and I think that like for women especially, like a lot of times we feel rageful and it's like we don't have a circle of friends who really we feel comfortable with them seeing the bad side of us. Like, with social media, we always want to be projected or not projected, portrayed in like this perfect light of like, this, I have everything together. Like, I am the perfect mom. I have a clean house. I have all this and,
Right.
whatever it is. But it's interesting because this week I had a conversation. I didn't have a conversation. One of my members in my membership was like, I get why this membership is so special because like I see friends, every few months and it's nice to catch up, but they don't see the hard moments. She was like, in this membership, like we have, the nitty gritty of like all the beautiful things, but then also like all the hard layers too. Like we see it all and we're there to support each other. And I'm like, you know what? I never really realized that, but it's such a rare thing for women to have that on like non-judgmental space where they can just show up and be like, hey, I messed up today. I
This
did
is
this.
me. Yeah,
Yeah. And not feel like a terrible person.
I definitely understand that. I would say that I don't I don't I used to have a really large group of friends that I
Yeah.
could honestly I felt like I could be myself with for the most part, but there's always been a very select few people that I could be entirely genuine with in the good and in the bad. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's people have got to understand that social media is it's a lie. It's a front. Everybody that posts on it, they only post the good stuff like you were saying. You know, I
And some
doubt
of us
there's
post the hard
people.
stuff.
I mean, that's what I was going to say too, is
Okay.
having these weekly conversations with you
Mhm.
about nothing but the hard stuff. I feel like is a great counterweight to my constant posts of happiness and everything on social media.
Yeah.
But it's also there. I mean, there is a lot of truth to it too, because a lot of people might share some of the hard truths and some of the pain through social media as well. Um, I can like attest to some darker days when all I did was share sappy stuff and all that, and people were asking me, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." They're like, "Oh, well, judging by your
No.
posts, you're not fine," So, and there's been moments like that in life, but I think that the whole point is, like you said, having a group of people that you can just be real with, and
Hmm.
or at least maybe not even a group or just like one or two people or just one. All it takes is that
Yeah.
one person in your corner that's constantly saying, "Hey, I get it. We have fucked up pasts, but you're a good person and you
Yeah.
you can keep going." So
Right.
very supportive in nature.
Yeah. I'm not here to plug my membership, but if any women out there need need a supportive circle,
Shameful plug.
I'll leave it in the show notes. Single mom status, I gotta pay the bills and I would also like to
Hey,
support you. It's a beautiful space. But other than that, I think that this was a really good conversation.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Happy
if you've
April.
ever had any rageful moments that you can attest to this conversation, please let us know. Hit us up in the DMs.
I saw this reel the other day on Instagram where it was like this mom was feeling really rageful and she was like having these big feelings and then she like took a pillow and just like started whacking it on the ground and the kid was like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm just feeling big feelings right now. Do you want to do it with me?" And they like did it together and it was like a way that they were able to, bring down their anger together in a healthy way that wasn't yelling or, using your body in a negative way. And I was like, "Dang, like we need more examples like that to work into our day and show
Right.
our kids like there are other ways." Yeah.
Right. I mean, when you were down here, what was it? A rage room or a smash room or what's it
Yeah.
called? Where you
Rage
you
room.
get all the anger and frustration out. And I think that's another healthy activity. I know a lot of those are popping up and getting more popular, but
Hmm.
but that's something that I think a lot of people can understand is doing something physical when you have those rage moments
Yeah.
definitely helps get a lot of that anxiety out. And like going to the gym is great because A, you're getting healthier while you're doing it, and B, it's taking all those frustrations out in a healthy manner. and
Hmm.
you're not, like you said, projecting it onto your kids or on your partner or making other people's lives stressful because you're in just, I mean, people get in bad moods. It
Yeah.
happens. Hey, we're human, we're gonna experience those big emotions, and finding
Hmm.
a way to do it naturally, and like meditation, I think is a great one. So if you ever want to
Yeah.
try that, let me know, hit me up. I'll let you know how to do it, and or check out
Yeah.
our episode on meditation. I forgot
Yeah.
which number that was.
We'll
That
have
was
to plug
early on.
that.
It was like 10 or something, but
Um, yeah, and really it's preventing like people from thinking that like, they're the problem. It's like, hey, you know what? Like,
right.
it's not you. I'm just mad about something that happened a year ago and that just came up for me again. Like
It
realistically.
happens.
Yep. Okay. Well, thanks for
But
being here.
anyway, yeah, same. I love you.
Hmm. I love you.
Hope
See you
you have
next
a
week. Your
great
turn.
rest of your evening.
Yeah. Thank you. All right.
Everyone, thank you
Bye,
for listening.
everyone.